All right, what's up, everybody? We're back again with another episode of Russo's Playbook, Season 3, Page 2. We got a lot in store today with the NFL. I know it's the off season, but we will continue breaking down each division. This week, we'll start with the AFC East. And then we got Conor coming on to talk some basketball with us. But before we do all that, I know AG got some shout outs.
Just go ahead and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Russo's Playbook. We appreciate the support. Interact with us. We're very friendly guys, obviously. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel. This will be up on YouTube. It'll be our second video. Subscribe on your listening platform if you don't watch it on YouTube. If you're just listening to it, still subscribe, share, comment, give us feedback, whatever you'd like to do. We appreciate all of the support. And then russosplaybook.com, that's the place to be. We got a ton of blogs. I mean, since the last time we saw you guys, I think we dropped like 3 more. We got a ton more on the way. We just dropped one today about Ole Miss. Hotty Toddy, they are on fire right now. Basketball, that is. We got some quotes from Raptors organization guard Breon Tyree in there, the former Ole Miss star, obviously, talking about his former team. We got another blog dropping tomorrow with some college hoops from Conor, who we're going to bring in to talk hoops tonight. We're just pushing out a lot of content, so we appreciate your support. Give us a follow, subscribe to us. It helps more than you know. So thank you.
Definitely. But like I said, we're going to continue with the NFL and break down the AFC East. So for starters, I got the Patriots. Bill Belichick seemed like he was somewhat lost without Brady this year. I mean, he had a injury-riddled and older Cam Newton. So it didn't really work well. So I think their number one priority this offseason is for sure the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? They need to find somebody there, maybe a cheap veteran, and then add somebody in the draft, maybe Mac Jones, Trey Lance if they trade up for him. So they could do that with the quarterback position. They definitely need weapons and wide receivers. The guys they've drafted already just haven't panned out. You know what I'm saying? They definitely need some more weapons, maybe a veteran as well to add if they get a young quarterback. And then for defense, they had a lot of people who opted out. So I think them coming back, Hightower, you got Patrick Chung, I think it is. I mean, with them coming back, they'll be pieces, and I think they'll be fine on defense. They just got to definitely add maybe some younger pieces to groom behind them, not necessarily start or contribute right away. But overall, I mean, if they get that quarterback position down, I could see them maybe fighting for a wild card spot. What do you guys think?
I think personally, it came as a big shock to me as bad as their offense was, because before the season, you kind of thought that they had a lot of weapons. It was a really disappointing year, at least, entire NFL career so far for N'Keal Harry. I know in his first year, he started off real slow. He broke his ankle. He was out for all those games, but just hasn't exactly came around and been anywhere close to what they thought he would be. When he played for Arizona State, he was an absolute dog. I don't know what kind of fell off for him. And I agree with you, Nick, on what you said about them needing a quarterback desperately, but I think they're over the old veterans. I think they're going to try and pick someone up in the draft because let's face it, this year's draft, there are a handful of pretty good quarterbacks that I think could make a team in the NFL. I don't exactly know how they're all going to pan out, but like you said, I actually like the quarterback Mac Jones for them a lot. I think he kind of fits the Belichick scheme. He's kind of, more so what you would want, I guess you could say, in an NFL quarterback when it comes to stature and like arm size and arm strength. But I think that it's going to take a lot more than, the pieces that they've been trying to put together. I think the years of, seeing Bill Belichick be able to pick up these random names that you haven't heard of aren't really panning out and paying off for him anymore. And I just think that all comes on back, with Brady leaving. I think Brady really did make a lot of these guys look like superstars who really weren't that good or that athletic, who wouldn't have been stars for these other teams. So will he ever get another Tom Brady? I don't think so. But can he try and find someone who can at least keep up and, play the game? I think there's a great opportunity for him. But it was weird to see the Patriots fall off this year, I think, for everybody. No one expected that to see the season that they had. But I wouldn't be surprised if Bill Belichick comes back next year and kind of sticks it to everybody and shows that he's still got it even without Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you guys both said. I think they might be a little scared to try to go get one of those weapons in the draft. Definitely could see them picking up a quarterback. I agree with Hunter there. But in terms of getting the wide receiver weapons, I'm pretty sure N'Keal Harry is their only wide receiver draft pick in like the last 5 to 10 years that is still in the NFL. Not
Yeah,
just with the Patriots, but in the NFL. Um, or it might not even be 5 to 10 years. It might be like their last 5 to 10 wide receiver draft picks are just
yeah,
not in the NFL anymore. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them go out and get a veteran to pair up with the rookie quarterback that they end up drafting, or even just a younger guy that's on the market. Maybe a Carson Wentz or something like that.
Yeah.
Is definitely possible. I mean, I wouldn't put it past Bill Belichick to go out there and get Deshaun Watson either, something like that.
yeah,
But I agree with everything you guys said. I just wanted to make that point about how, like, they haven't had any success drafting weapons for that offense. And it's definitely been Brady that's been putting that together, because you'll see as soon as they leave, they're not in the NFL anymore.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? And they don't have Brady anymore. So they got to do something about that offense. Their defense, solid. Could definitely make some improvements as well there, but offense has to be what they're harping on this offseason.
100%, 100%. Their defensive line obviously can use a little bit of tweaking because I mean back in the day, their defensive line or at least their linebackers, their front eight was always almost like the core of their defense. It started switching up a couple of years ago, where now it's really the defensive backs. They had the Malcolm Butler, both McCourtney brothers, Patrick Chung. That list goes on and on. Where they've always been,
Gilmore now.
yeah, yeah. So it's one of those things where I think they might end up trying to go back to like that front eight back when they had like Teddy Bruschi and Vince Wilfork and like these big guys, these big dogs who were able to kind of stop the run because they're settled in for defensive backs, but I think their D line still needs a little bit of an improvement to kind of just be that insane defense that the Patriots have always worked with.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I agree with that 100%. Then we move on to the Bills, which I mean, as we know, they have all the necessary pieces to run it back again. They got Josh Allen, who's improved year after year. Doesn't look like he's going to regress at all. Just keep getting better. They might need to add a couple weapons or a couple pieces to the O line. But I mean, they do have veterans coming back, so they should be able to run that back. Maybe just add some young pieces in the draft or something. And then they might have to fill a void at linebacker if they lose their star linebacker, Matt Milano. But I mean, you could obviously fill a linebacker, especially when you're a good defense like that. It doesn't take much with the coach and everything. So they have all the necessary pieces to just run it back. I see them winning the division again. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely don't need any help at wide receivers. Their wide receivers are just freaking. They're dominant. They got a great running back in Zach Moss. Their defense is like interesting to me. It's one of those defenses where when they're good, and like they just. I'm not saying when they're bad, they're bad. It's just they have a couple of these random games where you're like, what happened, kind of out there. And like you said, they're going to be missing pieces. But yeah, I got them next year to kind of make that return and win it again. It's an interesting division though. It's relatively competitive now with the Dolphins stepping up, and obviously the Patriots have kind of held down that division forever, but it does kind of feel like it's like the Bills' time, and they've got a lot going behind them.
Yeah, I completely agree. Again, I don't really have anything to add to that. I think they definitely repeat in the division. I think that in order to take the next step and like make it to the Super Bowl this year, obviously they're probably gonna have to run into the Ravens, their Chiefs again,
Yeah.
probably. Which they handled the Ravens well, and they didn't have a good showing against the Chiefs. I think in order to take that next leap into the Super Bowl, Josh Allen needs to take another step forward, which he has every year, like Russo said. But in terms of the division, I think that's their division right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And like Hunter was touching on a little bit, they got the Dolphins right behind them, trying to keep it competitive. That culture Brian Flores set with that team. I mean, it's just been great all around. I think Tua can be the answer for them as long as he takes the proper strides forward. And they definitely have a shot to come at the Bills. I think they could add another weapon in the draft, maybe Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase at number 3. And they use a couple pieces on defense. I think their cornerbacks are elite, that's for sure. Maybe another safety linebacker to add to that. Free agency in the draft, obviously. But they definitely could take a run at the Bills. I just don't think they're gonna take it over. You know what I'm saying?
I agree 100%. Honestly, I don't know if anyone agrees with this, but I'm kind of worried about Tua. Like, I know this the entire year. I was the guy who was like, you got to play him, you got to play him, you got to play him, you got to see what he's got. But I mean, there were games where they were taking him out, games where like they didn't really give him the opportunity when they were down for him to try and come back and show, show what you got. And even if it was a rough game, I think those are still humbling games that no matter what a rookie has to go through. Like, I know that we saw Tua this year, but I almost feel like we didn't, in a sense. Like there's a lot more that he was going to have and that he was going to kind of bring to the table. But they kind of held him back a little bit. So that's my main worry for their team. Isn't they're going to be an all around good team. They've got some studs on offense. They've got some really good guys on defense, but they don't seem complete to me at the quarterback position, even with Tua. And I wonder if next year, if Tua doesn't have a good first couple, 3-4 games, if he is even gonna, I think he's gonna be the starter out of the chute. But I still got this feeling that they like Ryan Fitzmagic. I just think that he's not. He felt like this year that was his team, and that he deserved to be that starting quarterback and to be the one who was playing. And they kind of have. I don't even know if you can call it a quarterback battle, or like I guess it's more so a quarterback drama where you get this guy and at the sixth pick and you have this old man in Fitzpatrick who you're like, he's playing again. He looks good again. So I'm kind of worried for them at that position. However, I do see them taking second in the division. Again, this is all pending what happens with the Patriots and everything like that. But I'm kind of sitting on the sidelines before I'm over here saying that they're gonna get a wild card, even though they're right out this year. Like they could have games could have went their way in order to land that position, but I'm not sold on them yet. Not 100%.
Yeah, I honestly think they can definitely push for a wild card. I mean, they got the third pick, right? And then they got a couple other first rounders, right? Or is that next year where they got a couple more?
Yeah, no, they have
No,
another.
yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, they can add pieces where they see fit, wherever they think that their weaknesses are. And I mean, to Hunter's point about the quarterback drama going on, I mean, it's a tough situation where you don't know who to choose, but it's a good problem to have. You know what I mean? You got guys, you got like the Patriots are like, oh, what are we gonna do? The Dolphins are like, we got two guys that we could really rock with. Like we've won games with Fitzmagic, we've won games with Tua. Whoever wins that battle, cool. If they get hurt, got the next guy in. Like, it's a good problem to have in a sense. I think Fitzmagic is definitely gonna help Tua a lot. I mean, he's one of the most unselfish quarterbacks we've seen. We've seen him our whole lives. He doesn't mind taking a backup role. He'll still treat it the same. He'll teach Tua. He's not gonna be on like some jealous, I'm not talking to him type of thing.
Yeah.
So I think that'll help Tua in his development overall. But yeah, I mean, if they just clean up a couple pieces where they got some weaknesses in the draft and free agency, I think they push for a wild card for sure. Definitely pushing for second in the AFC East. I don't think they'll push the Bills. I think the Bills are going to have another phenomenal regular season. So
Yeah.
But it makes it interesting though. I think they actually have it's either 9 or 10 draft picks this year after having like 10 and 10 the past 2 years, or 10 and 9 the past 2 years. So I mean, they drafted very well. And if they continue to do that, like you just said, it's going to be interesting to see where they fill these pieces. I just worry about the whole age thing. Say Tua is the one who's going to go, and say they do get Devontae Smith, who I think is going to be a stud. And they have that chemistry already. They can get going, but there's still that veteran aspect in the NFL where there's going to be guys who grown men who are going to be covering Devontae Smith who might get the better of him on a certain game. There's going to be these grown men linemen who might beat up Tua a little bit. So I'm more worried that they stunt Tua's development, or that's what they did this year, and that it's almost like a one situation where they kind of screw up his mindset a little bit, where he's like, okay, well, like, is this my team or not? Because as soon as it is his team, I think that's when we're going to start to see him flourish. As soon as he has the confidence behind him, where he's like, no, I'm the NFL quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. Because as of right now, I just don't get that feeling from him, especially when he's out there playing and, he throws a couple picks and they just pull him. So we'll see what happens. But I've got a lot of faith in them. I got a lot of faith in them drafting, especially. But I don't have too much faith in it all happening in 1 year. I think we're going to be looking at a couple years down the road where we're going to start to see the Miami Dolphins be dominant again or better in that division.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't think it's going to all come together and they're going to be a great team next year. I mean, they were pushing for the wild card this year already with the QB drama going on, throwing Tua into the fire. He played well. They took him out after they took him out in one of the games, put Fitzmagic back in. He played well. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's kind of a good problem to have. They both played well. They were winning games. If they improve a little bit, I think they're a lock for the playoff. Not a lock, but they got a great chance at the playoffs.
Yeah.
I agree with you though, Hunter. In order for them to be like dominant, especially in the AFC, it's going to take some years. But if they keep developing and drafting well and picking up some guys in free agency, I think it'll happen.
Yeah.
They got a bright future if they play right.
100%.
I'll agree on that. And then we go to my Jets lastly. So the only way I see the Jets having any shot competing, obviously, is getting Deshaun Watson. But without Deshaun Watson, I mean, there's just too many question marks around Sam Darnold, the defense, the offensive line, weapons. I mean, you need just about everything. So even if they have an amazing draft and free agency and they stick with Darnold, or they draft a quarterback in Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, I mean, I don't see them winning more than 5 to 7 games without Deshaun Watson picking up. And even with that, they have to make the right moves. But it's like they have too many holes to fill, and it's not going to happen in a year. So they're a few years away from me. I would assume everybody agrees on that, right?
I'm glad you finally being realistic, Russo.
John Watson makes everything different, but if we're not getting Watson, then yeah, it's a couple of years away.
It doesn't look like you guys are either, right?
What's that?
It doesn't look like you guys are getting him either, right?
Yeah.
I think didn't the report come out saying like, yeah, he doesn't want to go there. I mean, and Houston doesn't want to trade him. So I mean, we'll see. But
that's fair. And he has a no trade clause, so he basically picks where he goes.
Yeah, I wouldn't bank on it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Which is why keeping Sam Darnold, I think, is a mistake, because if we're gonna win 5 to 7 games regardless with Sam or with the rookie, you know what I'm saying? Then why are we gonna put ourselves in the position to be average again? And then we have to pay Sam $25 million. So now it's like, it just doesn't add up. So that's why I think they're gonna go quarterback.
I think I agree with you, Nick. I think that they're gonna be trying to get a quarterback in the draft. My issue with the Jets, though, doesn't kind of strain as much on like the quarterback position in Sam Darnold as it does with like the depth of the team, because you guys have some names here and there, but when those names go down, there's nothing really to back them up and help them out and replace them. And the Jets, although you guys find yourselves getting some halfway decent draft picks, they don't keep them. And I think that's a big issue that's been going on for years, and that's what's kind of been playing into like the depth of the Jets. It's one guy goes down, they don't really have anything else coming up, and they are banking off of a lot of younger players like doing well for him. The Mekhi Bectons, just like Jamal Adams when you guys had him, who was great on the Jets, but it all leads back to I don't think it's going to happen overnight for the Jets. I think it's going to be a long course of a couple years, like we're saying. And for them to go out and draft a quarterback, I think that's the better decision. I think Zach Wilson is a great quarterback. I think that he's going to surprise a lot of people and he's going to impress a lot of people when he gets into the league. However, you guys are in the big rebuilding process. You have a great head coach. You got a lot of money to do it. So do I think that process can be rushed? Possibly. I think, if you guys get to Zach Wilson and you start paying, use that $80 million to start moving it around, picking up some different pieces to help him out, finding that depth and slowly working up into it, then yeah, the Jets, they got some potential. But I agree with you. I have the constant battle in my head: is Sam Darnold really worth it or not, or should you just get rid of him? And it kind of seems like his time in New York it's over.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. It sucks because I think he is a talented quarterback. I think he had a lot going for him, but I just think the situation that he was, AG disagrees, I think the situation that he was dealt with just wasn't ideal for anyone. You could have picked any quarterback out of his draft class. I don't think they would have done well there. And I don't think that the I don't know. I don't think that the Jets would have done anything in that time period for any other quarterback to make them better. If they would have gotten Lamar, they weren't changing to a running offense. They would have made him throw. If, they somehow landed Baker Mayfield, I don't think they would have ran play action with him. I don't, all of these quarterbacks in that draft had something special to them. And I don't think they accessed that with Sam Darnold. I don't think they had him throwing it on the run. I don't think they had him running play action. I don't think they had any pieces for him really downfield, and they didn't have a line to even get him the protection to throw downfield. So they killed him. It's that simple. Just start new, start fresh.
I know.
To that point, they got rid of the biggest problem already. They solved the biggest issue, firing Gase.
100%. That's fine. Just restart now. You just talk up the last couple of years. It is what it is. You guys had bad years. Good years are to come. But guess what? You have to start completely fresh. Everything's gutted. I'd say gut the quarterback. Get rid of him too. He's young. He's going to play somewhere else. He'll be fine. He'll find another job. But for you guys to get Sam Darnold back to where he was when he was coming in as a rookie and he was happy to be in New York, he was happy to play for the Jets, I don't know. I don't see him. I don't think he's happy. I don't think he's happy at all.
Yeah, I agree with that. AG, do you want to say anything else on that?
No, that's it. I mean, I'm more interested in what you had to say about your Jets. I mean, like you said, you don't see a too promising future already, but I don't know if you had anything else to add, but
yeah, I mean, I got faith in Joe Douglas. I got faith in who the head coach they hired, Robert Saleh. I mean, obviously the first mistake, like you said, was getting Gase, but they moved on from that. They fired him. And Hunter, as you said, they need a fresh start. So that's where I think they'll go. I think Joe Douglas is smart enough quarterback, general manager to realize that they need to start fresh on a rookie deal for a quarterback rather than paying Sam Darnold for this year. I think it's $10 million this year. Then his fifth year option be $25 million. And then after that, you're going to have to sign him to a big time contract. And we're just not ready for that.
I don't think you even, I think you just get rid of that headache before it becomes a thing. Sam Darnold's not shown me a single reason to pay him that money.
Exactly.
To do anything. And if that's the case, then you get rid of him before you have to. Because imagine Sammy D does get the weapons around him. He gets all those pieces, and then he's just looking like, it's like Mitch Trubisky round 2 with him sort of thing, where it's like he's got like a nice Allen Robinson, but he doesn't get him the ball. He still makes the same mistakes, and you're paying the guy. Just doesn't make any sense to me. If you got the new coach, you got a relatively new GM, I think you just start fresh. You have the money to do it. I say get the entire team. There's got to be a couple faces that you definitely want to stick around, but I don't think Sam Darnold's one of them.
I agree. But I guess we'll wrap that up with football, and we move right on to basketball. I think Conor's here waiting for us. So if he's ready, we're going to bring him on.
Yeah, go ahead. He's good to go.
Word. Just loading them up, I assume. All right. What's up, Conor?
Hey, Conor. How's it going?
Can you hear me all right?
Yep. You're in. I can hear you.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know we got some basketball to talk about. What you got for us?
I know Hunter wanted to talk about your Nets a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. All good things. I just got questions.
Yeah, I'm always game to talk about the Nets.
All right. Let's start off with some Nets talk. So, I'm a fan of what happened for the Nets, right? I like the big three that they got going on. My comparison to them would, in a football terms, would kind of be like what the Bucks did this year. However, as we all know, it took the Bucks a little bit of time to start clicking. Conor, when do you think we can start seeing the Nets get it together?
I mean, it ultimately depends when we see the big three get on the court for like a substantial amount of games in a row. Because I mean, let's do a little bit of a throwback to when the big three got started in Miami. Over the first 20 games, there was something like 9-11. But that was with all three of them playing at the same time. And we've had KD out with COVID protocols, Kyrie choosing not to play, Harden missed a game with, I think it was like an ankle or some sort of leg injury. And now KD with his hamstring out. So it's ultimately dependent on when everybody gets on the court, because the Nets, they're winning games. They're now, I think, second in the Eastern Conference standings at this moment with the Bucks sliding. But it just takes time. I mean, there's about like 50 more games in the season, or maybe a little less than that, but like there's still a lot of time to build chemistry, and Nets really aren't going to get tested in the first round of the playoffs anyway. So there's a lot of time to do that. I'm not terribly worried. And the games with mixing and matching, whether it be KD and Kyrie on the court, or last night with just Harden running the show with the rest of the rotation and role players, see that mixing and matching, the Nets are good no matter who's on the court.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of agree. Like, you definitely need to see the big three before you make an assessment, like for an extended period of time together. But at the same time, seeing the fact that it doesn't really matter who's on the court, they're like, one of them is going to take control and, play their game, because they all can handle the ball, they all can shoot, they all can facilitate if they need to. It kind of works, and it's already been working. Like, James Harden's on the court by himself. He's like, all right, I'm gonna make Joe Harris look like a superstar tonight. Like, you know what I mean? All right, we're all on the court. I'll give the ball to Kyrie and KD a little bit. I think they're set for I mean, maybe not a lock to win the East, but they got the Sixers playing well, and then the Bucks are always a factor, but they're definitely going to be all right.
So in a sense, AG, would you say that like that team chemistry, it's already happening before our eyes, even without all three playing at the same time? It's like more of the relationship, even off the court's kind of playing into it. Like, you're not worried about this, about it whatsoever. Like, the fact that they aren't all on the court at the same time, but in a sense, the bonding, what you would expect to see, what you need to see, it's already happening.
To an extent, yes. I would probably say that it's still very important, obviously, for them to mesh on the court together. But what I'm more looking at as a good thing is that their rotations are going to be not a problem, because you can rest KD. Like, even when they're all healthy and available, you can put KD down for a whole quarter, Kyrie down for a whole quarter, Harden down for a whole quarter. They've shown that with just two or three of them, or just two of the three on the court, they can still play well. So I think that helps with the rotations chemistry more than anything. When you got the bench in with one of the starters, and that's going to help come playoff time.
So just hopping off of that, uh I see two upsides in like kind of diamond in the rough sort of thing, with not all the guys on the big three playing right now. So sort of what Adam was saying about how all the rotation guys are starting to like get their footing. You see Shamit starting to play better. You got Jeff Green, who came off the bench last night, but he's starting to play pretty well. He's been shooting really well from three. So once they all get a lot of confidence, and you get Kyrie, KD back in the lineup, then all those rest, like Shamit, Jeff Green, Bruce Brown, Joe Harris, they're all going to have much more open shots, already have the confidence to knock it down with the hand in their face, but the defense will be drawn in on any one of those big three driving to the lane. So it's just going to open it up more for them and make this offense even more potent than it is currently.
Right on.
And we got to remember that we can't forget that KD and James Harden went to a finals together when they were real young. So I mean, they've both matured since then. They've gotten better. Their basketball game has matured. So I mean, there's definitely not going to be an issue in terms of them gaining chemistry. It's more so how Kyrie fits in with both of them at the same time, and the role players, which is why I think it's a good thing in a sense for them to be getting all of this out of the way early.
Yeah,
I hear you.
Seems like Harden fit in perfectly too. Like, he came in, took that role as a third guy or so, point guard, whatever, you know what I'm saying, and just ran with it.
Word. I got another question for you guys. I'm going to open this floor. Tomorrow, this podcast is going to air tomorrow, so the 20th. We got the Nets and the Lakers, who I think the majority of the world is expecting that kind of tend to be in the finals here. Although KD's probably not going to play. I don't really know what's going on with Kyrie. What do we expect from this game tomorrow?
I mean, it'll be interesting to see, because I don't think AD is going to be back in the lineup either. So I think that bodes better for the Nets' perspective, because the Nets don't have a good down low presence to begin with. So they don't have to worry about really Marc Gasol. It's just Montrezl Harrell coming off the bench. And I think maybe DeAndre and Jeff Green could kind of handle him, because Jeff Green's of about a similar height and stature. But it'll be, I think, ultimately dependent on whether we see Kyrie play, because he had like a little tweak in his back that held him out last night.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It's kind of disappointing that we're not going to see the both teams at full strength. Kind of get like a expected finals preview. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, it could go either way, like Connor was saying. Yeah, it kind of depends on if Kyrie plays. If Kyrie's out, James Harden's just gonna have to take control, take the lead, and force them to a win. And then LeBron's gonna do the same thing on the other side. So it'll be interesting. I think it's a toss up. I don't know. I mean, regular season games in NBA are like almost always a toss up at this point.
Yeah.
Very true.
But I know we wanted to get into some of the disappointments and surprises as well of the NBA. I mean, one for sure is the Jazz being near or are they still at the top? They might still be at the top of the
Yeah,
league.
they're a game and a half up on the Lakers
Yeah.
currently.
So I mean, the Jazz are, you know, we knew they were going to be like a playoff team, but top of the West, I didn't see it coming.
I mean, like my kind of take on that is they have Gobert, who's proven his capabilities as a defensive player, man in the paint, uh, proven his supermax contract. You have Mike Conley actually starting to mesh, and the way that Quinn Snyder's been running their rotations, the two of them enter the game and leave the game at the same time. So they built a hell of a chemistry so far. You have Donovan Mitchell running the team, Joe Ingles coming off the bench, and we haven't even seen Bogdanovich playing well yet this year. And he's going to be a good piece, and he was really missed when he was injured during the playoffs. And I think that could have been a deciding factor with them getting over the hump last year against the Nuggets. But overall, like it's as crazy as it sounds, I think they could get even better.
Interesting. It's interesting you said. I mean, yeah, it's a good point because if Bogdanovich, finds his rhythm again, like he had before getting hurt last year and in years previous, that he's shown, he's a sharpshooter. I think they have a great chemistry. Like the way they pass the ball together, like they're out there having fun, making shots, just playing good defense. I definitely could see them keeping this level of play up. It was just a surprise for me coming into the season. You know what I mean?
Oh, I agree. But also think about it. Clarkson had 40 the other night, and he's really
Yeah,
found his role with the
yeah,
Jazz, playing well, just coming in and getting straight buckets. Where he
yeah.
doesn't have to worry about running an offense or anything like that. Just go out there and score, and that's perfect for him.
Real, that's a good point. Real quick, back to the Nets on that point. I think that's going to be very helpful too because that's going to help Kyrie a lot. Kyrie doesn't have any interest in really running the offense. He wants to go out there and get some buckets.
Yeah.
James Harden has no problem being that guy.
Yeah.
But that was a good point I forgot to mention when we were talking about the Nets. But yeah,
Yeah, and like I think I heard it from someone on ESPN, but like the comparison, think back to Kyrie when he was playing with LeBron and when they made their championship run. LeBron was running the ball and Kyrie was just that killer
yeah,
Yeah.
on the
exactly,
offensive end.
exactly. And then I know you had some teams you were looking at. You were a little disappointed in, right?
I mean, the Celtics are a big disappointment. What are they like sitting at 6 or 5 or 6 in the East, coming off a conference finals appearance when they were maybe a block away from the tables turning and getting over the Heat
Yeah,
last season. But I think that's attributed to Marcus Smart being out because he's the heart and soul of that team. He's kind of like their Draymond Green with Draymond with the Warriors and that whole squad.
doing all the dirty work.
Dirty work. He's a guy that he's like loud, takes charges,
Yeah,
and defensively he's the captain. And then you add in Jalen Brown, who's looking like a budding superstar, let alone Tatum. And I think once they get Smart back, they gotta get Kemba going
A
because
hundred percent. Yeah.
they're
that's what
going
I'm
as far as
thinking.
Kemba. If he doesn't play well, they're honestly screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's he been up to, man? I've been thinking that too. Yeah, he shows flashes, but then other day, like when he was in Charlotte, man, he was a killer. And then he came to the Celtics, and is it just too much of a stacked team? He's not getting enough touches, or what?
No, I don't. I think it's because now he's like 30, 31. He's a small guard. They list him at 6 foot. He's really like 5'10" and a half
Yeah,
without his shoes on. And he was injured during the playoffs last year and also to start the season. So when you're a small guard that totally relies on speed, quickness, and like quick shifty lateral movements to get by defenders and get a shot off, I think with injuries that's kind of hampering that, and that's why he's really not being effective.
Yeah.
That's a good point. What about the Nuggets?
I mean, they in like a similar sense, they had the. I think Jeremy Grant was a big loss because he was chasing the bag out in Detroit, wanted a bigger role. So good for him. He's really proven it. Uh, I think he could, like, say there's injuries in the East, he could be a fill-in for the All-Star team if a couple guys go down, or say maybe opt out of the All-Star game.
Yeah.
He could be someone that could hop in and play well. But he was a big loss because he was one of their better defenders, very versatile, shot just under 40% from three, and then they're switching in Michael Porter Jr. plays absolutely no defense, better
Yeah.
shot maker, better shot creator on the other hand, but also Jokic isn't over the last 2 weeks. I've kind of noticed his stats. Like he isn't putting up the assist numbers, and even though they're starting to play a little bit better, but he's the focal point of their offense, whether it be at the high post or in the paint on one of the blocks.
Yeah, he's the
Uh,
playmaker. You know what I mean?
yeah, and like I don't know. Once he, I mean, obviously he's playing the MVP form, but it's a little bit disappointing. They're gonna get going. They've had a couple tough breaks early on in the season. Yeah, it's still early. They're in the playoff hunt. I think as like the 7th or 8th seed currently.
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
not
they'll
too.
make the playoffs. They'll make the
Yeah,
playoffs.
they'll make the playoffs, but I think home court advantage is gonna, even though most arenas aren't gonna have fans, but it'll still be a negative for them not getting home court in the first round. So
Yeah.
they'll likely sit at like the 5 or 6 seed
Yeah,
when it's
definitely.
all said and done.
I got two more questions for you on the NBA.
Let's hear it.
What's your top destination, or who needs Blake Griffin the most? They're not even playing him anymore until they find him a trade. Who needs
I'm telling you right now, if the Nets better not trade for him.
him?
No, if you think about it, like you guys have probably seen like the tweets coming out the last few days that he doesn't have a single dunk this season.
Yeah. How about
Doesn't
that?
have a dunk. He's a traffic cone on defense, although he's a 3-point shooting hasn't been good before they sat him on the bench. I think with a different team, maybe the Lakers, that could help. But the Nets, I don't see it because the Nets need to fill a role defensively with like a JaVale McGee type player. I think
Yeah.
that's who they should get, or maybe try to get Nerlens Noel.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but Blake Griffin, I think the Lakers would probably be the best destination. I don't really see him having too big of an impact because, as I said, no athleticism, no rim protection, doesn't dunk the ball, and
Yeah,
he's older now, not putting up points. He's averaging 13 a game.
Yeah, he kind of fell off quick. He when he went to the Pistons, he got like significantly better than his last couple of years with the Clippers, and then just fell right off, right back down. So yeah, that was interesting. And then we'll bring it to the other team in the city, the Knicks. How about Julius Randle? I got some stats for you. I know we talked about it earlier. As of the other day, he had more points than Anthony Davis or Karl Anthony Towns, more rebounds than Joel Embiid or Bam Adebayo, more assists than Drew Holiday or Donovan Mitchell, and he's shooting a higher 3-point percentage than Dame Lillard and Buddy Hield.
Damn.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if he's not an all-star, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah, they better not pull a Bradley Beal on him again. And Bradley Beal needs to be an all-star again too.
Oh,
Yeah.
he'll be starting. He'll be starting this year.
Yeah, needs to be. But
Yeah. I don't know. Like my take on that, the Knicks are they're losing their hot start. I mean, I think there's still a chance for them to make the playoffs, but we wouldn't be having this conversation without Julius Randle because he's playing like point power forward for this team pretty much. And the assists are up defensively. Tibbs got them all playing well and getting him in his spots where he could attack. He's not the ball in a China shop that he was with the Lakers when he first started his career. I don't know. It's pretty exciting now having both New York teams actually playing well.
Yeah, that's different. It's been a little while.
Oh, it's been a long while.
Yeah.
Yeah, Connor's a New York guy, in case you guys couldn't tell. But
Quick, yeah.
yeah, but I know you wanted to touch on some college hoops. I know you've got a bunch of articles coming out in the next couple weeks. We already got the March Madness one out. I advise everybody to go read that. It's a great blog, and we'll be updating it soon as the season continues. But I know you had some guys that you wanted to key in on. Who should we be looking out for right now?
Yeah, hang on. Let me pull up my list. So I guess like players to watch out for. This is more so on the lines of like players going into the end of regular season play, their conference tournaments, and the NCAA tournament, as far as different guys who could significantly boost their draft stock. We see Luca Garza, he's going to be a late second rounder,
Yeah,
and he plays bad. He might not. He could be the player of the year and not even get drafted this year.
yeah. Like
Uh,
Miles and almost a Miles Powell thing near the top of the
yeah,
top of the
exactly.
discussion all year, and then but no love in the draft. Definitely.
Yeah, but one thing that not like I left it out of the college the Final Four picks blog, but UConn just got James Bouknight back. He only I think he only played like 6 games or so before he went down with an injury. He injured his elbow around like January 12th, but he was putting up 20 a game, had a 40 ball against Creighton, and I'm kind of getting the vibes that we might see a UConn team making a run, getting like an 8-9 seed a la like Kemba Walker and Shabazz Napier when they won their national championships. So that's going to be interesting to watch because the Big East is very weak. Villanova doesn't look good. They have a lot of older players, but I don't really see them making a run at all. I think they're going to end up slipping in the top 25 rankings. Um,
Yeah, they just lost to Creighton too.
yep, Creighton blew them out.
Yeah, bad
But
loss.
also, I know. So, Adam, you put out the Ole Miss blog. Ole Miss is hot, but I got another SEC team for you, Arkansas, who's on a 4-game win streak.
Yep.
Yeah, think it was after a loss to Oklahoma State, then on a 4-game win streak, and they've got a couple tough games on the horizon. They've got Alabama in like a week and a half. Hang on, they have one other top 25 game coming up.
That Bama game's gonna be a good one though.
Oh, that's going to be a hell of a showdown.
Yeah, definitely.
And who else? And then LSU, another great team, although unranked in the SEC.
We'll see how LSU and Ole Miss game ends up tomorrow. If LSU gets that win, I think they probably will be ranked the next week.
Yeah, there's definitely a good chance. And just going back to the Arkansas note real quick, their star player Moses Moody, he's a freshman shooting guard.
He's a stud.
He's a monster. He like in the latest Bleacher Report mock draft, they got him sitting at 8. And if he I think they're gonna safe to say they're gonna make the tournament. If he really balls out, he could boost his draft stock and kind of take over and
Yeah, up to 5 maybe.
yeah, maybe get to 5 and push a couple of the G League Ignite guys down, like Jalen Green and Kuminga.
Yep.
But I'd say those are probably the 2 teams to watch out for right now. And especially UConn, you're buying pretty low, and I think with them being able to make a run in the Big East tournament, gain that steam like the Kemba team did back in what was that 2011?
Yeah, get that
They
momentum
could be
going.
posed to get really hot really fast.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, appreciate you coming on talking basketball. We're gonna probably end the show in a second here, but give a shout out to everything you got going on.
I mean, with the blog, I'm starting to do kind of like highlight a bunch of other teams I mentioned a little bit in the Final Four pick blog, coming out with one on West Virginia coming out in the next couple days. But other than that, a bunch of other stuff to stay tuned on the blog front, but also got my pod coming out. Find us on Twitter, podcast GTM. We're on all platforms: Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, everywhere except Apple Podcasts. They have not cleared us yet, but yeah, soon coming. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a blast. Love talking hoops.
Hey, right on, man.
Anytime. We're looking forward to these vlogs coming up. Go ahead, Russo.
No, I was just saying we appreciate you coming on, giving us
Yeah.
some insight on basketball.
All right, Connor. We're gonna get you out of here.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, boys.
See you later, man.
All right. How's our boy Connor? Yeah.
Yeah, that's he's been writing a ton of blogs. I mean, the man does not stop working, and we love it. We got a lot of content coming out for you guys. We also forgot to mention he's got a blog about the Denver Nuggets coming out this week as well. So yeah, I mean, check out russosplaybook.com. We post updates on Instagram and Twitter at Russo's Playbook as well. So yeah, you could catch all the blogs there. I don't want you missing out on any, so check us out.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And then we'll move into our weekly stop that before we end the show. I know Hunt got one. Let us hear it, Hunt.
Yeah, so it's rumors, it's speculation, but it got sent to me, and I had the need to bring it up. I saw that Carolina, again, rumors, is considering letting go Christian McCaffrey and 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson. So to that entire scenario, all I have to say is stop that. Don't ever let that happen. I have no idea why you would ever want to get rid of Christian McCaffrey or 3 draft picks. You have 2 great quarterbacks, or not great quarterbacks, but good enough quarterbacks in Teddy B and the backup guy from Jersey.
Walker?
Yep, thank you. I have no idea why that would even be rumors or speculation, but I hope my stop that in the air. I hope that goes absolutely nowhere, because that would be the worst decision that Carolina ever made, and I would hate to see Christian McCaffrey die out in Houston. Like that, I that would break my heart to see him go off to Houston and have to deal with that organization and that team. I mean, there's a lot of different packages that they can do besides giving up the number 1 running back in the league for. Although I agree, Deshaun's top 5, top 10 quarterback in the league, he's not deserving of that. I don't even know if he's deserving of Christian McCaffrey for him straight up. I'm serious. I'm serious. I mean, I know running backs, they don't have a big lifespan in the league. You're better off with having a better quarterback. But my God, like, C-Mac had an injury-prone year this year. I hope he gets healthier. I hope he gets better. And if he does, he's going to show you every reason why you should not trade him. That's simple.
I mean, if I'm the Texans and that offer comes through, I got to consider it, though, because 3 firsts, the Texans, Bill O'Brien sent away all of their draft.
If I was Houston, I would take that in a second. I wouldn't even let them think twice.
Guy doesn't want to be here anyway, man. Give me C-Mac and 3 firsts. All right, cool.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You know what you could do with that, with C-Mac and 3 firsts? That's astonishing.
Now, you brought up something interesting when we talked about this previously. Maybe Teddy B and some firsts for Deshaun Watson, and the Texans get their quarterback as well, because Teddy B's solid.
That's what I'm saying. That makes sense. That makes sense to me. That makes a lot of sense. That would work out fine. But Christian McCaffrey, hell no. Not a chance. No shot.
What are you leaving Watson with if you got him? You leaving Robbie Anderson?
Robbie Anderson, your boy.
I mean, listen, he finally topped 1,000 yards. I wish we re-signed him. I said it from the jump. I'm not going to harp on that again. Yeah, I don't know, man. They definitely got to keep C-Mac if they're going to bring Watson in.
Dude, that made absolutely no sense to me. I mean, again, it's just rumor speculation. I don't think anyone would ever make that trade. I mean, like Carolina would ever make that trade. But if that does get offered to Houston and they don't take it, then Deshaun Watson ain't going nowhere. I can't think of because they're not going to get offered anything better than that, and that is way too much. Dude, you might as well take freaking the head coach's firstborn while you're at it. Like just give up everything, because that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, man. But that's where we're gonna wrap it up there. We'll catch you guys again next week. Remember, go follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Russo's Playbook. Check out our blogs coming out with russosplaybook.com. And
subscribe to the YouTube after you watch this. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. We need more subscribers. It helps out. And if you're listening to it on the platform, subscribe. They'll let you know when we drop a new one. You don't even have to pay attention.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Facts. We'll catch you guys again next week.
Have a good one.